if you go to our chapter 3 is VLANs. So it's something very simple. Normally 1 minute we are done. Only 1 minute. So what is it about? Something very, very, very simple. So let's say you have a building. Yeah, okay. I put it here. I say floor 1 management. Okay, let's say floor 5 management. Management. Floor. Let me copy paste. Okay, no, it's fine. Floor 4 HR. Floor 3 um, finance department, finance. Floor 2, who can we put here? Okay, let's say IT. Floor 1, employees. So normal employees. So this is something. So normally 1 minute and we are done. I'll make it very simple for you here. So this is a building. Fill column, select. Yeah, it's fine. Outline. So okay, outline. Put okay. So this is a building. And in that building, we have floor 5, floor 4, and please can you please confirm you see my screen and you hear me properly? Sometimes I keep on forgetting. Okay, thank you very much. People want to join. Who are these people? Oh, okay, so here it is. This is our building with 5 floors. Normally per floor we have a switch. I'm going to add a switch. Switch here for floor management floor. There is a switch here. We have another switch for HR. We have another switch. Please, can I make it bigger? No. Let me delete. Yeah. I go back to my field. Draw rectangular. Okay. Make it be big like that. Yeah. Then I have management floor. We have their own switch. HR floor. We have their own switch. So in that floor, we have a lot of PCs and we are all connected to this switch. Third floor, employees, IT. So I can change the name of the floor. So I can say management for man. Here I put HR, finance, IT. and employees, normal employees. This is how it is. And each department, we have many PCs there, and all these PCs are connected to a switch. So in the old days, it was something like that. So if you're a HR employee, you need to sit at the fourth floor because it's there your switch is. If you're IT, it's compulsory for you to go to floor two to work, you see. If you work in finance department, you have to go to third floor. It's compulsory for you. So in the old days, it was something like that. Nowadays, with VLAN, hmm, with VLAN, I'm going to add a switch somewhere. And I'm going to add a title here, VLAN, virtual LAN, virtual local area network, uh, VLAN. So with virtual local area network, VLAN here, you don't need to belong to a floor. For example, someone from management can sit anywhere. IT can sit anywhere. Finance can sit anywhere. HR can see any floor. But now, for security purpose, how will you know that if you go to, let's say you're IT and you go to HR building and you want to work, how will you know that you belong to IT group with all your IT security? Uh, we call it virtual local area network. So here, the deal is each port will be configured as a department. What does it mean? It means if on port 1, I say this port belong to HR, wherever you are. So now with VLANs, we don't have all this title. It will be VLAN. Let's see. Oh, what that? Because I did, okay, let's say VLAN main. So here we have VLAN. 1 sec. Who want to join? I cannot see. Okay. So on this PC, on this switch, on switch 1, I'm going to configure different ports. And each port might be configured for an office. It means if on switch 1, I configured port 1 as IT, the IT guy here, he can go to 5th floor, connect his PC to port 1 because port 1 has been configured as IT department. You see. So if I open this guy, I zoom in, each port or a series of port, they can be configured to say, okay, on top left, all these guys, I'll configure them as HR. Or down, I'll configure as IT. The other side, I configure as employees, you see. So that anywhere you sit, you can go to fifth floor. If you're HR, you connect to the HR port. If you're an employee, you don't want to be first floor, you want to go to fifth floor, you connect your PC to the port that belongs to employees. If you're IT or let's say HR, and you want to go down to first floor, because you're HR, you connect your PC to a port that is linked to HR department. That's all for this chapter. Nothing else. Normally we are done. So in the old days, we had physical LAN or physical offices with physical switch. Your HR, you go to this floor, but nowadays it is virtual. So per switch, I configure each port that will belong to a department so that anyone can sit anywhere. I do the same thing for floor. On this switch, I configure VLAN. On this switch, I configure VLAN or different VLAN. Here, I configure different VLANs. Here also, I configure different VLANs. It means a port will be linked, will be assigned to a department. If I say, for example, port 1 to 10, I'm going to assign all of them to management. We switch 5. Port 1 to 10, I assign all of them to management. It means anyone from management department, they can sit anywhere, for example, here, and they need to plug the PCs to between port 1 and 10 so that we belong to the management group. So normally that's all. And if here, the first row on top, if I configure for management, and down here I configure for HR, they cannot communicate. Only people who belong to the same department per port can communicate. So I can have one switch, 4 VLANs, VLAN top for management, VLAN down for HR. These two, they cannot communicate. It's security purpose. If you're HR and you plug your PC to management, it won't work because we have security in the background. We're going to do such configs. So if I want different VLAN to communicate between themselves, that will be chapter 4. We call it inter-VLAN communication or inter-VLAN routing. It will do that chapter 4. So guys, we are done for today. So I'm going to show you quick things. Now, so you know the definition of a VLAN now. I'm going to, what is that thing of mine here? I'm going to zoom out. So if you understand that big picture, you are done. Anything else is the same thing I did. So now, how many type of VLAN? So before that, I like making my notes, my summaries. You should know the definition of VLAN. It's what we did. I explained. In fact, here I'm going to add my my packet tracer things. Okay, I'll add later. You see, you should know. So when you study and you have a clear summary, it's nice and easier to understand. And instead of reading the whole letter can that is huge and you can get confused. You should know the definition of a VLAN. Now we have 5 types of VLANs. What are they? We have something called the default VLAN. The default VLAN is, this is my switch. When I purchased my switch, I didn't configure anything. By default, all the ports, they belong to the same VLAN called VLAN 1 or the default VLAN. We can never delete VLAN 1 because it's the default VLAN and all the ports, if you don't make any configs, they all belong to the same VLAN. What we call the default VLAN. So how do you know? We'll get a new comment called show VLAN brief. If you tap, it will list all the VLAN that are configured. You see, I only have VLAN 1. The name is the default. It's active, and you see all the port on the switch, they all belong to VLAN 1. Anything else here, just ignore it. It's for the system itself. We don't use them. So this is what you call the default VLAN. We have another type of VLAN, data VLAN. It's our normal uh, data. I download YouTube, I download some videos, I send email, I browse on internet. All this stuff are normal data. We have something called, also we have a management VLAN. If you're at home and you want to remotely log on your switch, we need to configure telnet and we assign to a specific VLAN called management VLAN. If you're using IP phones in your companies, especially call center now, because nowadays we have Microsoft Teams, it's much easier, cheaper. We have WhatsApp, we have a lot of tools. But in the old days, before Teams and Skype and all this stuff, we use IP phones. We still have them now, but I don't think that it's too much like in the old days. We can type a Cisco IP phone. Yeah, you see something like that. Um, I can go to image. This is something. Yeah. So in the old days, so this one are IP phones. So all these IP phones, they also have a network cable like a PC at the back, and you connect them to a switch. So on that switch, you must create a VLAN to say, for example, from port 1 to 10, they all belong to voice VLAN. It means if you have an IP phone and you want to connect to the switch, you connect to always switch between 1 and 10. This is an example of IP phone. So if you're using them in a company, you should assign them to a voice VLAN. Voice. So for each VLAN, we have a way to configure. So you can read quickly 1 minute this and we continue. Okay, after voice VLAN and management VLAN, you have native VLAN and data VLAN that you can check. Okay, we continue. So you should know the definition of a VLAN, the 5 types of VLAN. Now, how to configure? It's very simple. How to configure is very, very, very simple if you study. So, first thing first, you create your VLAN, for example, VLAN voice or VLAN HR. You must assign some port to that VLAN. You verify your config, and you are done. If you want to delete a VLAN, before deleting, sorry, deleting, reassign reassign first all the ports to another VLAN. So before you delete a VLAN, you must, if in that VLAN we have 10 ports assigned, you must remove them, assign this port to another VLAN before you delete the VLAN. Because if you delete that VLAN, all these ports, you won't see them anymore. It's gone. We also have something called VLAN.dat, VLAN.dat. Stores all your VLAN config. So any configs you'll do for related to VLAN will get stored in a file called VLAN.dat. If you make a mistake, you delete that file, all your configs gone. Never make that mistake. So now we're going to do some few examples. This is a switch, S1, and this port, this PC is connected to port 18. So you go to S1, conft, you create a VLAN, you see VLAN and you add a name. No, you add first a number, VLAN and the VLAN number. You add a name to that VLAN, student. It means if I configure this, first thing first, I did create. You see here, you create your VLAN first. I did create a VLAN. Now, after you create, you must assign, allocate some port in to that VLAN. So I created a VLAN student. Now I need to assign some port. So I can say on switch one, conft, this port F18, interface F18, I'm going to assign that port to that VLAN. So the command is switch port mode access to say this port will carry only data for one VLAN only, VLAN 20. Then switch port access VLAN 20. So this is the command to assign a port to a VLAN. It means if you're a student and you want to use this switch, you must connect only to that port. If you're a manager or a teacher, you come, you plug your PC on that port, you want to work. You won't be able to work because it has been designed for students. So quickly check that new config and we continue. Now, when you are done, you need to verify what you did. You tap show VLAN or show VLAN brief. So if you want to delete a VLAN before you delete, if you want to delete, you tap no VLAN and the VLAN ID. But before deleting, so I'm going to do a quick demo and we'll be done for today. Anything else we'll do on Saturday. So Saturday, please come because we'll do chapter 4, inter-VLAN routing with some demo. So let me do a quick demo for VLAN. So let's say I have a switch and I have this PC, these big ones, and some Yeah. I'm going to call this one here. And the other one here. So here we have two departments. So let's say we have a bachelor. Mm, uh, let's say a bachelor, no student. Yeah, use some much better student and teachers. Teachers. Okay, so we have a building. Inside we have only one switch, and we need to configure VLANs. So to create VLAN, one, uh, to use VLAN, one, create it, create one. Number two, assign port to that VLAN. Three, verify. Oh, it's small. Yeah, so we want to use VLAN. So first step, we need to create a VLAN. So you open your switch, command line interface, enable. So before you start, you can tap show VLAN brief, show VLAN brief. And here you can see the only VLAN that is there is the default VLAN because I didn't configure anything. So the default VLAN is there, it's active, and all the port on that switch belong to the default VLAN. So me, I'm going to create two VLANs called VLAN 20 and 30. So because I want to create, I go to conft, then are we still there? You're still there. Okay. Then what to do? I create, I say VLAN 20 name. I'm going to call it teachers. I exit. I create another VLAN, like VLAN 30 name student. I exit and I save. Do copy, run, start. I can exit, and now I can view, show, VLAN, brief. I press enter. So when I tap show VLAN brief, it's going to display all the VLANs I have. So I have a default VLAN is here. Now you see I have VLAN 20, and this is the name teachers. This is VLAN 30, and the name is teachers. Now there is no port assigned. All the port still belong to VLAN 1 with default VLAN. Now I need to say, for example, VLAN 1 will belong to teachers. It means if you're a teacher and you want to use the switch, you must plug to port 1. So let's do that. Conf t interface FA01 switch port mode access. It's a new command, Antoine. Switch port access VLAN 10, VLAN 20. So if you want to, if I want to say VLAN 1, this port should belong to VLAN 20. So I go to that interface, switch port mode access, and then I tap switch ports access VLAN 20. I exit. I do the same thing for the other one. I'm going to say interface, for example, FA20, switch port mode access, switch port access, VLAN 30. It means if someone comes and plug his network cable to this, it means it belongs to VLAN 30, that is student. I save, do copy, run, start. Then I log off. Then
Okay, Max.
yes, tell us your name first, and I ask you a
So,
question.
so, sorry, it's Lorenzo here. So, Max, I see this one is a little bit backwards. So you don't go onto the VLAN interface. You go onto the normal
Yeah.
interface, the
Mm-hmm.
port
Yeah.
interface, and then
Yeah.
you enter the port interface, and then you ask the port interface to basically switch it to VLAN or
Yeah.
assign the interface to VLAN,
Yeah.
and not the
Correct.
other way around.
Yeah. Not the other way around. Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't go to VLAN 20 and you add your port. Okay, port 1, port 2, port 3, you belong to VLAN 20. VLAN 30, okay, port 1, port 10, port 20, you come. No, no. You go pay port and you tell them, okay, you port 1, you're going to belong to VLAN 20. You port 20, you're going to belong to VLAN 30. So Lorenzo, are you doing CCNA too?
Yes, Max, I am.
I thought that you were doing CCNA one. So please remind me to add you for the to CCNA two now.
Yeah, sorry, man. It's just been a bit hectic now this Easter weekend and that.
Okay. Okay. So please remind me so that I can add you. I thought it was CCNA one only. That's why I didn't.
No, no, no. I see it's not on my NetAcad, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Max.
Okay. So at the end of the session, you send me a WhatsApp to add you.
No problem, Max. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Pleasure. Now we want to view.
Mr. Max,
Yes.
sorry, I'm James here. I want also going to head the CCNA too, because I don't see that in NetAcad.
Who?
Booker,
Let me check.
yes. Because when I go and start in NetAcad, I don't see CCNA 2. I saw CCNA 1.
Mhm. So students who are registered, Charlton, Daniel, Lucas Antonio, Monique, Nandomiso, Ayabunga, Buka. Why you say you're not in? Is it not your name here?
Oh, my name is
Ah,
there,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
You're on the roll. Okay, I'm going to add you.
okay, thank you.
Okay, I click here, activate, activate. Okay,
Oh, thank you, sir.
okay, thanks. You're in. Buka is
Yeah, I
in.
can see now. Yes.
Okay, who else? I go to 50 here. I go to Stuart is in. Musa, Elvio. Yeah, let me add directly. Can you please spell it? Can you please spell your email address for me, Lorenzo?
Okay, so it's LOR
Yeah,
ENZO. There we go.
So which
Dot
one?
com. That one, yes. First one.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Max.
Okay, you're in now. Yeah, so
Thank you,
if you
sir.
don't see your CCNA 2, please let me know. And also, as I said to you, please make sure you pay your fees. CPUT, we're going to check, I think, in 2 weeks' time. High Yvonne, these are the students who paid for the fees. Keep them in CCNA 2. Then one will come here and check. If you paid, you're still there. If you're not paid, he'll come here and suspend or he can remove you. So please make sure you make your payment. Okay, I was saying what and I forgot. So we are still busy going. So now we want to view, show VLAN brief. Show VLAN brief. VLAN 1 with default, VLAN 20 teacher. Now I can see that port F01 belong to the teachers. So if you're a teacher, you come, you want to work, you plug your PC to port 1, automatically you are in the teacher group. If you're a student, you plug your port to 20, you belong to student. If you're a student, you plug to F1 for teacher, you won't see anything. We have some config that we'll be doing in the background. So this is how we do VLANs, how to create a VLAN, how to assign port. So now let's say you want to assign a range of port 2, 3, 4, 5, not 2, 3, you skip 15. No. If a range, something like that, there is also a way. So we go to const. Now you tap interface range. SA. Let's say I want this range from 2 to 5. FA 02 dash 5. You see, you press enter. It means from 2 to 5. Switch port mode access. Switch port access VLAN 10. I save, do copy, run start. I exit. And now I also want to say, okay, you know what? From 14 to 17, I want to assign all of them. You see, you cannot do 14, 15, 16. You skip 17, you go to 21. No. You must be, you see, you must not skip. There should be the range 14 to 17. Interface range FA 14 dash, sorry, yeah, hyperfin 17. Yeah, FA 0. So you must see how we are written. FA 014. Sorry. So FA 0 / 14 dash 17. You see. Switch port mode access. Switch port access. I can say this guy, we belong to VLAN 30. I save, do copy, run, start, and end. Then I check show VLAN brief. So I can see here VLAN 10. So I made a mistake. So you see here, this port 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what? I made a mistake. So you see here, I did create VLAN 20, name teacher, VLAN 30, name student. If you do in the correct way, it will show nicely here. If you don't do that, and you want to assign port to a VLAN that you want to create, automatically it will put something like that, you see. So normally I want you to put all these guys in teacher. And I made a mistake, I say VLAN 10. So I need to delete that VLAN. what should I do first before I delete?
Reassign port FA2 to 5 to another VLAN, either to the default or to the.
Very good. Very good. So I'm going to reassign them to teacher. Const interface range FA 2 to 5. See, I always forget that 0. FA 0. Switch port mode access. Switch port access. VLAN 20, because I did create VLAN 20 before. So I have VLAN 20, I have VLAN 30. If you say VLAN 50, it's going to create something like that, VLAN 50. But if you create your VLAN normally, VLAN 20, name teachers, exit. VLAN 30, name student, it will show nicely. If you don't do that, it will display something like that. So don't do that. VLAN 20, do copy, run, start. I end, show VLAN brief. Now I can see that in VLAN 20 teachers, the port 2, 3, 4, 5, now we are here. So anyone that comes and plug his port in here, it will belong to VLAN 20 teachers. So now I want to delete a VLAN. How to delete? Const the question mark, you see. So I wanted to see all the comments starting with D. So I type D and question mark. So I can only use default do and so. But so if I want to leave, it's no question mark. You see, no VLAN. So no VLAN and question mark and the VLAN ID. So I go on top. For me here it was VLAN 10. So I say no VLAN 10. Do copy run start and show VLAN brief. Now I can see that my VLAN 10 is gone and my port are here. If you don't remove a port first, you won't see FA 2, 3, 4, 5 anymore. It's gone.
Max, sorry,
Yes.
it's Lorenzo here again.
Yes, no problem.
Shouldn't I mean a switch or a router should be smarter than that? Shouldn't it automatically allocate that ports back to the default?
No, no. You, the network manager or the network engineer, should do that.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes it can mess up your stuff. Yeah, it can mess up. Sometimes your default VLAN, you change the name or you change the number. So the system will get that. That's why we prefer you to do step by step like that. It's not difficult. All these things you do once every 10 years or 5 years. You do it once and done for many years. So guys, normally we are done for chapter 3. Definition of a VLAN. The different type of VLANs, the 5 types. How to create a VLAN, assign port, and verify your stuff. So normally that's all for today. On Saturday, so Saturday, do you want us to be at CPUT or we can just do online? Then the following week, we go Saturday to do practicals. So I prefer us to do online. Why? Because I thought Monday we do chapter 3, today we do chapter 4, and Saturday we do the labs. but because Monday was public holiday, so today we do chapter 3. Chapter 4 is also theory, the same thing, so that we can do from home. Then the following week, when we finish chapter 4, we can do some labs.
Max,
Yeah.
Lorenzo here. I
Yes,
think
Lorenzo. Yeah.
possible. Can we do it online, please, man, Max, and then we can record it again as well.
Yes, yes. Also, if you do online, we can record. If you go at CPT, there is no recordings. So chapter 4 is inter-VLAN routings. So you see here, show VLAN brief. Anyone belong to VLAN 20 teachers. All the teachers, we can communicate between themselves. VLAN 30, all the students, we can communicate between themselves. But teachers, we cannot communicate with students. Students, we cannot communicate with teachers. It's for security reason. Now, if you want these two guys to communicate, we need a router. That router is called router on a stick. So we add a router to allow inter-VLAN routing. It's chapter 4. It also theory online like that. We can record it. You can watch it during the weekend. And next week, Saturday, then we're going to do a lot of labs. Okay, guys, we are done for today. If you have questions, you can post in the WhatsApp group. But normally, this is what we need to. And we also have some labs that we'll be doing. Labs. We'll get some labs for VLAN configuration. This one you can do it. It's straightforward. We guide you to configure VLAN 20. Do this, do that, and you know how to configure trunk. Trunk will do that on Saturday also. And inter VLAN routing, physical mode. Yeah, all these ones. We're going to, and troubleshooting. This one is very important. So Saturday we'll do 2 or 3. But for now, let us know chapter 3 VLAN. What is it? Inter VLAN, how to do the configs. Weekend, you can practice a bit yourself. It's not difficult. And Saturday, then I'll say, okay, guys, we're going to go through lab ABCD and what. Okay,
So,
thank you
Mr.
very
Max,
much, guys, for today. Any questions before we end the session?
I want to know Saturday, Mr. Max, you're gonna keep on with the villain chapter or what?
Okay, and so who can reply to your friends? Saturday, we don't go at CPUT. We stay home, we'll do online. We'll do chapter 4 online, the same way we are doing here.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. You stay home, 9 o'clock. I'll say, hi guys, we're going to start maybe 9:30. I send the link, we connect. I do a demo, you know how it works, recordings, I'll put in the group. Then,
Thank you, Mr. Max.
okay, you're welcome. So that link I sent to you for the share drive, I'll put all the recordings there so that if you want to check. Okay, thank you. Have a good evening. I'm going to stop the recording and